Welcome to Matt Stuff on the Querysoft channel. If you're here looking for in-depth videos on cross-platform software development, you're in the right place, but you've set your time machine a little bit on the early side. Today I'm doing something simpler. This is Project Black Box. A few weeks ago I picked up a charity shop bargain. A 3-layered tempered glass table for £5 looked like a deal. 2 3-layered tempered glass tables for £5 was simply impossible to turn down. The smaller table was in reasonable condition, and with a little work on the feet, it's now propping up some gear in the corner of my living room. The second larger table, however, was not in a good state. As you can see, not only was it filthy, and I mean filthy, it also suffered corrosion damage. At some point, someone had poured something icky over the table and just left it. Ew. So the first step is to sand down the rusty tubes and give them all a thorough clean. While I'm doing that, let me say welcome to the channel. You can expect practical and software projects on this channel, probably more practical at first and more software later. There will be PC building and server upgrading and possibly very different items in the future. I don't claim to be the expert in anything much, so don't expect the slickest construction techniques, the tidiest cables, or even quality audio. If you stick around though, you may learn something, and I hope you are at least a little entertained. Now, gladiator and Roman references will abound, but don't worry, they won't all be that subtle. Anyway, back to the table. The next step, having cleaned up the steel tubes, was to repaint the ones that required sanding. That should have been pretty straightforward, and it was, except I suck at spray painting and gusting wind doesn't help, so the results were passable but could have been better. While the tubes were drying, I took a look at the tempered glass shelves. Not only were they almost as filthy as the inside of those tubes, but it turned out that they're black only because they're painted on one side. That's fine as the top surface is glass, but the problem comes when the paint on the underside gets scratched. As you can see here, the light shines through the scratches. Oh well, I've got the paint out already, so I might as well try to fix that too. It's the next day and my iffy paintwork has dried. Now, if I can only remember how all this goes back together again. The tubes look like a giant version of one of those old desk tidies. I'm adding a few more 8mm nuts and penny washers than the original foot design here to try to prevent the kind of damage that occurred to the other table that you can see in the background. The feet on this larger one are a bit more robust, so it's probably not necessary. Until you have some compression from the nuts on these threads, however, the construction is completely loose and has essentially no motivation to stay together. There are plastic discs to prevent the metal sitting directly on the glass. I wasn't at all sure that I'd rescued all of them, so I used them sparingly at first, but it turned out I did have the correct number in the end. One thing I should have remembered from putting the other table together is that the only correct way to construct one of these is upside down. Oh well, at least I know that all the parts are present and correct. Now to do it properly. Once you get some compression on the end of each rod, the whole thing becomes remarkably rigid and can be easily turned over. Not a bad result for a very small initial investment and a few hours of renovation. Well, thank you for watching this completely random Project Black Box video. That's the thing about a black box, you never know what's going to come out of it. Leave a comment and subscribe for more. They will definitely get more exciting. Thank you.